everybody. Thank you for joining us again on the Spy Shack podcast, where we'll be discussing Survivor Kaoh Rong finale episode. Not going down without a fight, and there's a lot of talk about, and I think it's very polarizing. Not only in Facebook, Twitter, even on the Survivor page and so forth. So we'll just go ahead and talk about what our thoughts on the finale are the jury, the twist, everything that happened last night. With me, as always, is Mark. Mark, how are you doing today?
I am very excited to talk about this.
Aaron, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
All right, so let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and just talk about the finale. We are now left at the beginning of the episode with the final four, which was Sydney, Ty, Aubrey, and Michelle. There was a lot of speculation on what was going to go on, especially with the three tribal councils, the if it was going to be a final two, a final three. There was a reward challenge at the beginning of the episode, and this reward was for the meal, the advantage for the next immunity challenge, which was the meal, protein meal, and so forth. And it was kind of a was it me, or was it something that we've seen before, and little bits and pieces, right?
Yeah, I was reading on the live thread. Somebody was saying that it was. I'm not sure if this is correct because the seasons go on. The challenges all look generic, but according to somebody in the live thread, it was the loved ones challenge from Worlds Apart, except the contestants were taking part in that.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
I
that's
I remember it looking very familiar. I just couldn't remember exactly where it was from. What do you think of this challenge? I
it
mean,
was pretty close. It was pretty close, and good thing that Aubrey found.
yeah, because I remember Aubrey. She kind of took off after she was able to get across the balance beam with all her numbers and so forth, or her tiles. I thought she was going to be able to run through this and just finish pretty quickly. But they showed us, like, as soon as she was doing it, I mean, I didn't have to get that second view. I was able to see that she didn't have the right tiles. And I was like, oh, she's gonna mess up. She's not gonna notice what's going on. Everybody's gonna catch up, and everybody pretty much did catch up. Uh, Anyone fooled by the edit? Did anyone think that that's Michelle or Sydney was gonna win on that?
I wouldn't have been surprised.
Uh,
Luckily for me, because I was going for Aubrey. I'm not. I think I said it last week. I was going for Aubrey. I was happy that she ended up winning this, and she had the chance to go ahead and bring someone else along with this, and she chose Sydney. So yeah. One thing that I noticed still again was that the reward in other seasons where they had this reward where you go get this nice meal or whatever, you're taking somewhere else. You don't have it there at the camp. And this season, over and over again, it seems like they're having the reward at camp, and I don't know if it was the budgetary reason or whatever, but we saw that in season 32 and 31 that we saw that they left camp. They went to different places, and it might be because they're using the same location that we they don't show them going different places. But am I mistaken? They've only gone away from camp for their reward once, right? Or is it twice?
I think once, and I think they were holding off on the big stuff like the temples and whatnot for Cambodia
Yeah.
because they thought, well, these are newbies, they don't get to go to the nice places, so
So
they saved.
one thing that, like I've said all season long, I like this season. I really like the season with the newbies in there. But one thing I did not like is that particular thing is that they kept them at camp even when they were getting winning rewards. They kept them at camp. They didn't let them go out, and just it's I don't know if it's me or what, but I don't feel like I would be comfortable enjoying myself eating this food in front of the people I just beat, especially since they're not going to get any food. And on the other hand, if you're the ones that lost, you might want to be scheming with someone, but they're there on camp. They're there at camp. So, what I mean, what can you do with when there are other two people can see what you're doing?
I mean, you're just gonna try and make the best of it, or I really don't. I really don't know. I would propose to not have one of those things where you just don't talk strategy. Just play it safe and don't talk strategy. Just talk about stuff, family, kids. Although you really don't know what's going on in the real world at that
Yeah.
time because you're cut off. Which now reminds me of season 1 with when Sean's dad came over,
Oh.
and then Sue gets that wonderful confessional of, oh, it was nice talking to him, but he really didn't know anything. So who won? Who won the baseball game? It's like they're cut off from all the
Yeah, I
news
think that.
stuff. So I don't know. I would just propose not just talk strategy. Talk about family, what you're going to do with $1 million, your favorite seasons of Survivor. I don't know.
I don't know. Just something that I missed from this season. Even though I did enjoy the season overall. That's something I missed, and not only for myself, but just seeing them at a different place other than just their own beach. Anything you guys want to talk about the reward challenge?
Well, one thing worth mentioning is Michelle did not look happy when Aubrey picked Sydney. I mean, pretty obvious she would, and it's pretty obvious. I mean, if you weren't picked, then yeah, that wouldn't feel good at all. But
Yeah, and that was my question. What do you all think about this? What was Aubrey thinking about the game itself, or was she just rewarding her friend at the time when she gave Sydney the ability to join her in the reward? I mean, for me, I wouldn't choose anybody to go with me. I don't care who they are. I wouldn't choose somebody who can beat me in the next challenge to partake in that reward and strengthen them. I just wouldn't do it.
well, Aubrey's logic was that they would eat and get stronger, so that Michelle wouldn't win. And lo and behold, Michelle wins the immunity.
So,
I think it's just from not eating, and then what example? Like Fabio, when he kept winning all the challenges, and Nayank asked that jury question of not seeing your mom. Did that add any extra fuel to the fire? Yeah, it, freaking did, man. And he starts crying and whatnot. I think just, probably out. I mean, I'm guessing that anything could happen there, and then you can just go, okay, no other option. I'm winning the next challenge. You just get that feeling.
so let's go ahead and talk about the immunity challenge. This is the final four immunity challenge, which would eliminate the go down to the final three, of course. And this was I feel this was kind of a mixture of kind of some challenges they did it in the past. It's not exactly the second chance challenge that they've done in other seasons where they do parts of other challenges they've done during the season. But I felt like it had some elements of past.
It had two.
Yeah, except for the final puzzle.
The water part,
Mm-hmm.
Cagayan. The ladder part, actual ladder. Would be the last immunity for San Juan del Sur.
So we see Aubrey take off right away at the immunity challenge, and for me, she was doing really good. She was actually killing it in the challenges. Sydney for being the Braun member left in the game. I felt like she always felt behind. She wasn't as strong as you would think she was. I don't really think she played as strong in the challenges as you would think she was, as seeing how strong she physically is. But she fell behind. Aubrey took the lead. Michelle, Ty, and Sydney eventually go ahead and catch up. And what she ends up struggling on is on the puzzle. But then we see Michelle was also getting that puzzle pretty quickly. What did y'all think of Michelle's comeback in this challenge, Mark?
It was really surprising. I think the way they edited she just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I wonder if it was a lot closer than they made it seem, but I don't think so. I mean,
No.
I think Aubrey was in the clear lead ahead of everybody.
Hmm.
Aaron?
It was cool to see Michelle get another immunity win. Because had she not gotten it, she probably would have been the one out. And it's just one of those. I'm sure Aubrey and Sydney, and just thinking back, yeah, that whole, get a meal before the next challenge sort of thing is. I mean, the only other one I could think of. Terry's didn't work.
Nope.
He had like a. Yeah, and Danielle won the last challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then Todd and Amanda had the pizza, and Amanda won that. But I don't know. I'm just thinking like the protein meal. I mean, I think Aubrey was off to a fast start, probably from eating the food, but then I don't know. She probably started to wear down.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Puzzle.
yeah, I can't remember anyone who won that particular challenge, and maybe I'm just not remembering somebody here, but I can't remember anybody who's won that challenge that actually ends up winning the next challenge.
And the one other thing, Michelle did a badass kick.
I like that. So, I mean, Mark is the one that chose Michelle last week to win it. So, I want to hear a little bit more of what Mark's thoughts were when he was watching this episode.
At this point, I'm just kind of numb because, I mean, having experienced some of the pretty shocking season finales we've had this season, nothing here was gonna like really shock me one way or another, honestly.
Yeah, and Mark and I had talked about it on after the Amazing Race finale. We know where this kind of feels like we know where this is gonna be heading now. But we'll get to that part in a couple of minutes here.
Mm-hmm.
So we get back to camp, and we see Ty and Aubrey and Michelle and Sydney talking about what's gonna happen tonight. They're trying to figure out who they're gonna vote for. Michelle and Sydney are thinking they're gonna vote for Aubrey. Aubrey and Ty are putting it together, and they're gonna talk about putting the votes on Sydney and just letting it go to a tie vote, and then the fire. Let's go ahead and skip right on to the actual tribal council. Well, before that, let's think about Michelle telling Sydney not to practice her fire making skills. I would think if you're not sure what's gonna happen, you practice no matter what, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you think you are safe, you practice just in case, because you never know exactly what's gonna happen.
I mean, Michelle's ass wasn't on the line, so why would she care?
Yeah, but I feel like I would have done that. If I ever do get to go out to Survivor, I feel like I would want to practice fire making no matter what, just in case. I'll probably be the first one voted out, but still, just in case, So let's get to tribal council. Tribal council. Ty is pretty much wishy washy on who he's gonna vote for, and he doesn't really.
As always.
Yeah, yeah, as always. And anyone fooled with what Ty was gonna do? For a moment I thought maybe he was gonna betray Aubrey.
I thought Aubrey was going.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way he was talking during that tribal council, we were assuming he was going to vote for Aubrey.
Yeah, and when I saw that last vote come up, I'm like, oh, okay, he did it. And then when Jeff was like, "Is there any reason for us not to just go straight to the fire making challenge? Are you guys locked?" For a moment there, I was like, "No, let's revote." I was like, "Oh." And I think I would have been more soured on this episode of the finale if that would have happened. But we see Michelle and Ty stick to their votes. They cause the tie, and they cause Aubrey and Sydney to do the fire making challenge that we've seen before, and we've seen it go really bad in other seasons, and I thought it was gonna happen again. I really thought it was gonna happen again, and for example, it was a good moment there where it looked like neither one of them were gonna make a fire, and then Aubrey gets her fire. She gets started. It gets going, and it gets close, and Sydney still has no fire. It's pretty big. It's starting to catch her rope on fire, and then it topples down, giving Sydney the chance. Of course, Sydney doesn't get her fire going at all. I think she gets a pretty good flame, but then that's it. And Aubrey's able to catch up once again, and rebuild her fire and raise her flag. Yeah, what do y'all think about the fire making tiebreaker?
Weird to watch, just seeing Aubrey leading, and it's gone. Back up. And all this time, I don't even think she could. She didn't have any flame going. She just had the little
burst.
Yeah, the little. I'm sure Joe. I'm just thinking about Joe and him obsessing over embers. Maybe that's why Cindy didn't win. Probably she just should have hung out with Mr. Joe more.
Well, she had said herself that she hadn't started a fire with the flint. Well, if you didn't start it with the flint, then all you did was just restart another fire. So I guess you didn't really start a fire.
And another thing to note is that I'm sure the jury. It looked like the jury was rooting for Aubrey.
It looked like almost every single one of them were just rooting for Aubrey. Now, is it me or did Sydney look pretty sour at being voted out this way with Aubrey?
Well, they were crying and hugging each other at the end, but then again, Sydney's always making awesome faces. So,
well, even I felt like she was pretty sour against Aubrey at the finale at the final Trouble Council. But what did you expect Aubrey to do? You're voting against her. Did you think she was gonna vote for Ty? I mean, you're gonna do what you need to do to survive in the game. You're not gonna roll over and just let yourself get voted out. I didn't get why she felt like she was really mad at Aubrey. So we get to the point. We get back to camp. Sydney's already gone, and this is one thing that I was upset with Aubrey about. It's day 37. There's 2 days left, 3 of them, and she didn't even try to think that there might be another challenge coming. Ty was the one that said, Jeff never said tomorrow this is your last time. The power shifts over to the jury. His regular spiel that he does before the final Trouble Council. And Aubrey's like, no, Ty, don't worry. There's no more challenges coming. Her being the fan that she is, I would have felt that she would have been able to deduce that there was going to be something going on.
Yeah, I thought she would have known as well, because usually towards the end, starting with about day 35, 36, there's a challenge pretty much every day.
Yeah.
In the game.
And it was in Cagayan where Spencer was able to deduce that, like, hey, this is going to be a final two. This is not going to be a final three. There's still too many days left for the amount of people left. And he was right. He was right. And Aubrey was not this time around. Ty comes back next morning with a challenge, with a
Tree mail.
note, yeah, with tree mail, and they go to another challenge. And this is the look. This is the point. This is what I don't like about this finale. This is the one thing that I didn't like the finale was this twist.
And here we go.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
And the twist was the final three or the final three. They're locked in. They're gonna play they're gonna do a challenge so that the winner can vote someone off the jury. Now, I know Mark has some insight on where this happened somewhere else, right?
Yep, this actually happened back in Big Brother Canada 3 last year, where our good buddy Jordan Parhar was voted out of the jury. But it was a unanimous decision by the final three, and they had already cast their votes before they revealed their result. So at least he got to cast his vote before his vote got nullified. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So at this point, when I heard that, I'm like, no, 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 no. And I turned to my wife and I'm like, I don't like this. I do not like this. This is taking someone's chance to be there at the final Tribal Council, and this is their last chance to let them express themselves in the game, and you're taking it away. I was immediately against it. I know some people liked it. Aaron, what were your thoughts on this?
When it was first announced, there are two automatic reactions. One is that, jury member's gonna go. And I think Aubrey's reactions sum that one up perfectly. But and then the other thing that comes to mind, the other thing that comes with that revelation is that no, it's a final three. Ah, crap. You could have, this is what, I don't know who to blame, Probst. I would like to take, I think that I should just direct my anger at Probst because he's the host and he's the one who's feeding us and leading us with everything here. But that one I let slide after a while. I was a little bit disappointed that okay, it's not going to be a final. It's not going to be a final two. Oh well. But I'm used to the point right now. When it was the first years of the final three, I kept thinking, oh, maybe they'll do a final two this year. Maybe they'll do a final two. No, they kept going final three, except with Micronesia and Token Jeans. So by this point, I'm sort of used to the final three, but I like the final two more. Mm-hmm. So I was able to forgive that. Quickly. I wasn't too sure about this jury twist because I just kept thinking, well, somebody's not going to get their say, but then it could come to the advantage of the player. But after it was executed and whatnot, I thought, no, this twist is terrible because the part of being on the jury is that you earn it. People work so hard to try and win this game. If they could be on the best that they can get, aside from being in Final Tribal Council, is on the jury, mm-hmm. in which they get to decide who wins the game. They get their say. They can say anything, ask anything. Sue Hawk took advantage of it with the rats and snakes speech. Greg, talked about, okay, pick a number. You could just do anything with it. It's your stage.
Yeah, let me interrupt you real quick there. Imagine if this was something that happened at the very first season of Survivor, and they kick Sue Hawk out. Ooh. We never get the rats and snakes speech ever. that, I kind of feel at the end, I think Neil might have been able to give one of these speeches. Although he wasn't there for that long with everybody, but still, you never know.
And the whole idea of just taking some, I mean, I would think that the Survivor experience includes, I mean, even if you don't win, getting your torch snuffed. I mean, people dream about it. I mean, people get all excited about it. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure it sucks that they're not going to win, but you know, I'm sure inside themselves inside, there's something inside of them going, "Yay! I get to, do the thing that I got to see on TV,
Yep.
or whatever," and they get to go to Ponderosa, get weighed, stuff themselves, and then the good part is, oh, I get to decide who wins, or have some part in it. Now, at least I would think that, I mean, I'm sorry to jump ahead, but I'm guessing that Neil would still get his finishing spot payday. Because, what's not known is that the people, everybody gets paid for doing Survivor.
Yes.
Now, there's been different charts as to what the pay scale is. I think he at least gets some $10,000 more or less, probably a little less.
Well, I think they get money for going to the finale, even if they don't get spoken
Oh,
to.
yeah, they get $10,000 for going to the finale.
Yeah.
I read about that. So that in addition to that. So, I mean, it's all part of the Survivor experience.
Exactly.
And to have one thing taken away from you, the jury vote, is just, I mean, I'm feeling the same way I did when they're doing more they're making a twist that's better for the players than the viewers at home.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Imagine if you're Neil, right? Because at the very end, Neil's the one that gets voted off the jury. And imagine you're Neil. You're in the game and you don't get voted off. You get medevaced. So you don't get to go through the whole thing of getting your torch snuffed. You don't get to go to your final tribal council. And then you're sitting there waiting all this time for you to be at the final tribal council, to be able to say what you want to say and get your input into the final tribal council, to then just be removed. So now, not only did he not get his torch snuffed, he did not get voted out. He was removed from the jury. He was not allowed to participate in the final tribal council, and he didn't get a vote. And then people wonder why he was so bitter at Michelle.
Yeah, that goes a little bit two ways with what he did. I mean, he had every right to be pissed.
Yeah.
Because it was a dumb twist. But then again, I'm wishing, or I'm thinking that, I don't know, if I were to ask a question, like these next couple of days, if there's I don't know, let's say, some podcaster interviews Michelle, I would want to know, did Neil ever apologize? Because what he said I can't remember what he said, but what it was not very nice.
Yeah, it was really harsh. It was harsh.
I think seeing how Neil is good, he seems like a good guy, good sense of humor, seems like a fun guy to hang around. I think he would apologize, but he had every right to be. I mean, I think he shouldn't have directed his anger towards Michelle. I think he should have directed his anger towards either preferably Probst or anybody on the crew.
Yeah.
But not Michelle.
And some people on POS were saying that this was not as bad as the Outcast twist, which, maybe it's not as bad as the Outcast twist is. But that didn't mess with anybody in the jury. That didn't take away someone's ability to finish their experience in Survivor. Took someone out of the game, but at least that was as part of the theme of the game. At least that season,
Well, yeah, the pirate theme.
Yeah, the Redemption Island. It was part of the theme. The whole whether you're for or against the Redemption Island theme, it was part of the game from the very beginning.
I'll take buybacks any day over voting somebody out of a jury.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
at the end, I'm not upset that it might have gone towards Aubrey's way because from the way it looks like, everyone still voted for Michelle except for possibly Debbie and Joe. And one more vote would still Michelle would have still won. But we never know what might have happened at that final tribal council, and that's what's upsetting me. It's upsetting me of Neil's chance to finish his full Survivor experience is taken away rather than Michelle winning. I don't have any qualms with Michelle winning the game, even though I feel that Aubrey deserved to win that game. Well, I mean, reword that because I don't think anybody deserves to win or anyone deserves to lose. I feel that she played a better game,
Yeah.
and at the end of the game, someone wins and everyone else loses. So I really did want to make sure I reworded that. I don't believe anyone ever deserves to win Survivor. It's a chance they get to be out there, and you win or you lose. It's not always fair, but this is already messing with somebody who's already been out of the game already.
Yeah.
I would always take the stance of if you win your season, you deserved it.
Right.
We weren't out there on the island. Any twist, I think the worst twist ever would be, for me, I still think our is the worst because Redemption Island is the worst because it just drags on way too long. But this new twist has got to be probably top 5.
Yeah.
But in terms of the winner, whoever wins, they deserved it because we weren't out there.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to do what everybody else, they weren't able to do. Michelle was able to do something that Aubrey nor Ty were able to do. And I was about to say, I think the worst twist ever is if, God forbid, if there was ever a deadlock tie at Final Tribal Council, and they decided we're gonna ask America, then I would be very, very upset because we don't know. All we know is what you're feeding us through the TV.
Yeah, I think if a tie at the final 3 were to happen with 2 people, I think they would ask the third place player to place a vote. That's what I think they would end up doing.
Oh, they have a plan, but
Yeah, I think they would do a whole revote again with everybody, but they would add the third place person. So I don't think they would let them leave the island,
no.
knowing there was a tie. They would go ahead and have them revote with the third place finisher adding their vote in. That's what I think. No, they've never said what's going to happen. They probably are hoping it never happens.
Actually, Probst did say that would happen. That if it were between 2 people and the other one, then the other one would go ahead and vote.
Oh, he did say that?
He said it sometimes. He said it, I think, to Gordon Holmes from Comcast.
Oh, okay.
During Blood versus Water, I read the article when somebody else mentioned it, and if it were a deadlock tie between all 3 of them, that's being kept under lock and key.
Okay, so in case all 3 of them get votes and they're all even, that's what I don't get is that I know there's ways for a final 3 to get a tie, no matter. Well, there's ways to split it up to where all 3 can get tied. There's with the jury,
Right.
But have some foresight.
We usually get the go. They can make a whole season of the 0 vote.
Yeah. Okay. So now this is me just putting on my tinfoil hat here. I think they filmed Kaoh Rong, they did the twist, and then they're like, "Ooh, I don't know how this is gonna play out." We can't do that for Cambodia. people are gonna riot if their favorite second chancer does not get a chance to say their piece at final tribal council, and they go, how about we put that one in its place, and then we can put this back in season 32, and then continue this same twist for the rest of the couple seasons.
That's actually makes me feel better that they probably won't use it again.
No. The thing is, they knew how bad this was going to be, and they still went with it. They must have heard about it.
Well, that's one positive. I mean, aside from waiting for literally a whole year for the urn of votes to be opened, I guess one of the positives of them filming this one first and then having Cambodia aired before it, or Cambodia goes first, then Kaoh Rong, is that they sort of thought, well, that didn't. It won't be in continuity. The other thing I would think, or it wouldn't continue through with and the only thing that they did touch up, and we saw the older version of, was the double vote.
Mm-hmm.
They touched that up for Cambodia. So when Thai found it, it was the older version.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they revised it because it hasn't worked for the last how many has it? The last 2 seasons with Dan and Worlds Apart, and for now for Thai. So.
And for Fishback now.
The thing is, I think the extra vote would have worked this season if it was anybody but Thai. Because Thai, he was so out of it.
And
round.
And I felt so bad for Ty because his final tribal council was so horrible.
Oh.
Like he can't. And I know English is not his first language, and I know that might be part of why he can't communicate as well as he wants to. But when Debbie asked him why were you flipping around so much, and then he starts talking, and he's like, "Well, you're kind of proving Debbie's point." Ugh, like, come on. I mean, and then of course we all knew he was gonna cry. I don't know. It was. It kind of did. I didn't know how to feel at the end of the season anymore.
Where did Aubrey go wrong with that final tribal?
I feel like I know where she went at least partially wrong.
I have an idea.
When Sydney went up and said was pretty much asking her, why did you vote against me? Although, remember, let's keep in mind that Sydney was voting against Aubrey. And Aubrey's answer part here was like, well, you were in there with me, with all the votes with me. But then she goes, you did this, you did this, you did this. You're the one that did all this. And I needed to get you out before you got me out. I'm like, no. You need to own up to what you did. You need to be able to say, I'm the one that did it. Don't put all that blame on Sydney. Use it, say we did it together, or either say we did it together or say I did it. Whether Sydney tells everybody else the truth or not, you don't push all that strategy to someone else. Maybe she was saying it so that people won't be so sour against her or so PO'd against her. But I feel like that lost her Sydney's vote at least. I feel she had a good answer to Scott's question, and I felt she had a good answer to Jason's question. Although I think Michelle's answer to Jason's question was better.
I have my idea of probably why Aubrey didn't win, and we're sort of going off track here with going with Neil. And then nothing really happened when they came back to camp. They had their feast that they were looking for. They were looking forward to. Then going into the final tribal council, with Ty, he kept going around in circles, but I'll get to that a little later. What I want to talk about with Michelle, I remembered, or I was even taking guesses at who everybody would vote for. That's what I've been doing for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I actually had it 5-2.
I actually I had 4-3.
I had it 5-2, and then I switched it to 4-3, saying maybe she wants someone else's vote. So I went at the end. I went 4-3, but initially I had a 5-2.
I had 4-3 with Michelle winning
Yeah, me too.
because I thought, and I think with Nick opening, I think he sort of guided us, the viewer, as to what he wanted to see in them. And I think as much as been giving Nick a hard time this season, I think he nailed it on the head.
I think it showed that he worked with Rob.
That you got to display confidence, Aubrey. Show intelligence, Michelle. And I don't know what he said for Ty.
Yeah,
But-
I think his answer showed that he really he knew the game a lot better than he played it, and he, like I had said before, he was a blogger with Rob has a podcast. Rob has a website, I guess, and I feel like it kind of rubbed off on him on his last answer, on his last comment for the Tribal Council, because that's pretty much what they had talked about in their evolution of strategy and all that, is how to answer and all that, and that's pretty much what he said.
Good for him. with Aubrey, I think one of the reasons why I think she didn't win was they wanted her out when Neil was mid-act. So it could have been her going.
Yeah.
They didn't want her around.
Now, Jason, when that happened, Jason was out on social media saying that even though they had portrayed it that Aubrey was going to go home, that they were going to blindside Neil with the idol. So, of course, we never know what the truth is, but I think Neil might have still gone home that day.
Yeah.
And then it probably would have worked its way down to
Aubrey.
Well, if Neil had gone, it maybe Sydney and the ladies would still have the women would have and Joe would have still voted for Nick. But I'm getting the feeling that Aubrey was just, they really did. I mean, they were tossing. I mean, that's the first I'm hearing of it being Neil, but it was either Neil or Aubrey. I mean, if she was being considered, then that shows you that the jury really didn't like her all that much.
And I'm not one to dislike a bitter jury, because it's part of the game. Actually, I would prefer a jury to reward somebody who played the best game. But I mean, how many years it's been already? The best person doesn't always win. The best player doesn't always win. And sometimes a bitter jury is a bitter jury. You're not always going to be able to stop that, unfortunately, you know. So they're going to reward it, and that's part of the game. Partially, that's what Russell was saying, that the game is flawed because he feels like he played the best game and he should have won. Well, you know what? In the best scenario, yeah, maybe he should have won, but this is not what did Jeff say? This is not the Russell game. This is not Russell decides who wins. This is Survivor.
That was during the Heroes versus Villains. He was all over the place with that one because
Well, he was also drunk on that one.
Oh, was he? Oh,
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch the reunion then when I come over to it. But
The thing is,
with Russell, the part that he did not realize was that in the end, the Survivor strategy really doesn't. It doesn't really matter how many big moves trademarked you TM, big moves with a Z, uh, it doesn't matter how many you made. The jury are just looking for who they like the most. And Russell, they wanted him out when he played the idol on Kelly.
Yeah.
They really didn't want him around. He was not well liked. But he managed to get 2 jury votes for well, one of them was from Shambo, so that might be. I don't know. The end goal is that you got to get the jury to like you.
Yeah. Mark, I'm sorry. Mark, were you gonna say something?
No, I'm just saying strategy is a big part of the game, but how the rest of the playing field perceives you is also really, really important.
And this is my counter argument to Probst's big moves win the game and big moves are for the game. What does he say when he's introducing the new season? The greatest social experiment is coming back, right? Greatest social experiment. It's not the strategy that wins you the game most of the time. It's the social part, the social aspect of the game that wins you the game. And for the most part, that happens. That if you're the one that the people like the best, you're gonna win. It's a social experiment.
Mm-hmm. I remember him saying, "There's 2 things I want to share. One about very interesting thing I picked up while RTV Zone was still a thing from Lex. I want to get to that about how the jury or if they're separated or not. But with Jeff." It's funny that he's now sort of, got 2 different. He's got 2 personalities right now. And I remember somebody saying they were rewatching Africa, and that at the end of Africa, he said something like, "At the end of this game, it's really a social experience or something." Well, that's something we want to be hearing from the Probst of now towards the end of the game. And now, as far as the interesting thing I heard about Lex, now from what I'm to understand, for those of you unaware, RTV Zone was a site that was hosted by Evil Dick from Big Brother, and they did recaps of Redemption Island, South Pacific, and One World, and I think what happened after the first 2 episodes of Philippines, they kind of lost money. But now Evil Dick's doing his own thing, and you have to pay for it. But in the short time that RTV Zone was around, Lex was. I remember which season they were recapping. I mean, they would take viewer questions and talk about the previous seasons, because really, 22. I mean, those 3 seasons that they recapped. Was there anything worth talking about? What Lex said was really interesting, and Jerry was there too. So you're getting all like the first season peoples, like the first 7 seasons. And from what Jerry has said and from what Lex has said, when they were there, I think it was called Losers Lounge then, not Ponderosa, but that when they would be there all together and they talked anything about the game, there would be people to stop them. They would go, "Do not talk about the game."
Wow.
Because they didn't want anybody, they didn't want the jury to influence anything. When Lex said around All Stars, when he was there at Losers Lounge, he said, according to him, there were still people around there. But at one point, one of them just said, "Yeah, you can talk about anything." So I guess they just sort of gave up after 8.
Yeah, because I've heard from other people saying like even in second chances that people were campaigning against other people, and that's the whole thing. I feel like that's the whole thing of like when Cass says I'm the queen of Ponderosa or whatever, because you're the one that starts to be able to set the mood against a certain player or for a certain player. And even Stephen Fishback has said that the jury does talk and the jury does communicate with each other about the other players, and they do talk about which people, which they were thinking Michelle was going to take out maybe Jason or Scott, because she might have felt that they were the ones that were going to poison the jury against her, even though they didn't have a reason to me. I don't know. But yeah, I know for a fact they talk because of what I've heard from the players' mouths themselves. So we're running. Go ahead.
It was in the earlier seasons. I'm thinking that if they said that they were split up or they were not allowed to talk about the game, I could believe it for the first few seasons. But I'm thinking if they did that for 15, 16 years straight, they'd be going nuts, trying to say, "Don't talk about that. Don't talk about the game. Do not talk." And then we would. Could you imagine those people? I'm guessing there were people just. I remember Cass saying that when they during Kagayan, there was sort of a person, or like a sort of a teacher saying you can't, like they told, just saying, just there at the camp, just saying, "Oh, you can't do that, can't do that." I'm guessing that that's the way it was with the earlier seasons. But could you imagine, and now with Ponderosa, that one person saying, "You can't talk about strategy, you can't talk about the game."
I doubt it.
I think yeah, they can't. That person would almost become a character in Ponderosa. And there are other people at Ponderosa. They just sort of, don't show them,
Edit them out.
or they blur their heads, or whatever. But there are other people there.
Okay, so we're starting to run along here.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Michelle wins. I think we've been able to convey how we felt about how that went down. Like I said, I have no ill feelings about Michelle winning. She's a winner. No matter what people say, no matter what people feel, she's the winner. It was more of the twist at the, and I think after a couple of people actually cool down and something, they're gonna realize that it's the twist that kind of upset them. Some people are never gonna be satisfied, and unfortunately, they're never gonna be satisfied no matter what.
Yeah, I think the rewatch is going to calm them down. And with Michelle winning, she's not that bad of a winner. I think what happened.
She's not the worst.
She's not the worst, and she's not the most boring. Okay. I think what happened. We kept talking about it all through the season with Jeff underselling the season and underhyping it. And I think the reason why was because Jeff just really found Michelle boring.
I can see that. Also, I think for as an audience, I think we hyped ourselves up for the season because the season was a great season. The season was great, and then for it to finish the way it finished, it kind of left us with a bad taste in our mouths. And I feel that's part of the reason. And I want to talk really quick about the finale reunion. The finale reunion is just getting worse. You don't talk to everybody like they used to. You don't talk about their experience for the most part. You kind of just get this kind of, and I think you even said it was Probst trying to get his talk show back, and it does pretty much feel that way. I don't want to talk to Dr. Joe. I mean, I guess they would talk to Dr. Joe in the past if in this particular case because of Caleb.
Oh yeah.
But there's just people. And then we had the cringe-worthy moment of Sia just interrupting, and from what I understand, this was not planned. She just kind of forced herself on TV. To the point where Jeff didn't even know what to do, and he went to what's his name, Drew Carey, which at the same, I know they're cross promoting at the same time. Why the hell? Why it's taken away from time that we can be talking to the people who played the game, and the whole back row. Only Caleb got a question. Neil didn't get a question. Oh, come on. It's just getting worse and worse, and I'm really hoping it to get improved. I doubt it's going to improve. And then to top it all off, we get the theme of the next season, and what the hell?
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
It's the name. It's the name. It's the name.
And I want to read something here from. I posted this elsewhere on the groups. I want to read something from the CBS Watch magazine about Nicaragua. Because in a nutshell, this is young. It's young versus.
Well, this is kind of the second time they kind of, because the first time with Exo Island, remember they kind of split it up not only by age but
Yeah, they did it
by
for one
gender.
episode.
Yeah, yeah, one episode. That's all they did it for.
Yeah, and then it was a schoolyard thing.
Yeah.
As far as and I'll share my final thoughts on Michelle towards the end. But okay, this is what it says now for the CBS Watch magazine. What it is, he spends like a paragraph, a page per season, and he just gives his spiel about each season and which ones were the best and which ones were. He just gives an analysis of each season. So for me, too crazy about when it was airing. I'm not kidding you. This is the first paragraph of his essay on Nicaragua. For Survivor Nicaragua, we pitted the old against the young. Not one of my favorite ways of breaking up the tribes. It limits the game in so many ways. It is a division I hope we never do again.
And they do it again. Not only that, I feel like
Never
Nicaragua
change
is one of
tropes.
my Nicaragua is actually one of my least favorite seasons. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't like the name. Maybe a different name might have.
I think it's the season with the most syllables in it, without the subtitle.
And this okay. And here's the thing. Now we had the twist. We had the reunion. We had the name of this next season. I think all of that together kind of really added up to a dissatisfied audience for the most part. Once again, like I said, maybe a rewatch will calm people down, like the season a little bit better than what it is. Because at the end, it was a great season. Maybe fluttered at the end, but it was still a great season. We still enjoyed it. And
Good finale.
yeah,
Good finale.
yeah.
It's
So-
just the twist that really irked
Yeah.
people the wrong way. And as far as Michelle goes, I think she's an example of you don't need to make big moves to win Survivor.
Exactly.
She was purely social, and I kept my eye on her the whole entire time because people were going gaga over her in the boards and POS and whatnot. I'm thinking, what is so appealing about her? All right, I'll keep an eye on, because people would go nuts about Angie Layton or even Hope from Caramoan, and they would only make it, they were the third one voted off.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's going to be another one of those things. But no, she just kept staying there, and I started seeing a little bit of I think what happened was there really wasn't a lot they had from Michelle that was, A+ television. I think they did a pretty good job at making a story and building her up.
Her
I think it was on
best.
rewatch.
Her best moment was with Nick. I feel when he's like, I don't need to be carry, bro." All that stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was her best moment, and I think that's pretty much why I feel like she is not a bad winner because she did decide to break away from Nick, especially when Nick was the one that was trying to control everything. But we'll leave it
And
there. Go ahead.
Bizarro,
I think she, yeah.
Bizarro Kagayang is finished.
The thing is, I think she paved her way really well throughout the season, and towards the end, you see every single one of them saying, "Let's get Michelle out. She's got too many friends in the jury that for the past 3 or 4 weeks," and people are still wondering why the hell did she win? There you go.
Yep.
Bizarro
So
Kagayang has ended. Both winners from New Jersey.
yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and leave it there. We've made it pretty clear how we feel about the season, about the winner, about the twist, everything, And
I think Kaoh Rong was a very, very good season. I liked it as much as the 3 previous newbie seasons. I wish that I really want them to continue with this because they've been getting some really memorable characters here. And I think I mean, contrary to what tropes may think or want to tell you, this is how you watch Survivor, whatever. I think these seasons have been passable, whereas with the 21 to 30 uh, chunk there, that whole everything after Heroes versus Villains, yeah, there's a lot of bottom five stuff there, but I think it's been pretty consistent. It's much better than Cambodia. Cambodia was strategy, 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 voting blocks, voting blocks, voting blocks, and I was just done with the season before we even got to the final six. That was the finale. Six people in the finale. So I think Kaoh Rong was a very good season. I think it'll be it might. I think the people who are angry, they might see it as an underrated season later on, like a season you want to go back to and go, oh, that's actually not that bad, or something. Like it's a season you would want to go back to from time to time. So I think Kaoh Rong, a very good season, unique winner, unique presentation. But again, I think that was a little bit of part of Michelle. But yeah, I liked Kaoh Rong, and we'll see what this new season is. It has a terrible title, but and I'm already noticing that Probst is getting giddy about this season, so we can probably bet that the guy wins. um,
Mark, final words of this season?
You know, with the trend this season with all reality competition shows, once we get past the shocking results, we can still say that the process of this season has been more than awesome. We got dramatic moments, we got emotional moments, we got strategic moments, we got moments that we didn't. And so once we get past how we feel about the results, I think this would still be, for me personally, a top tier season. Just because it was just so fun throughout the process to just talk about everything and how people are reacting within the game. I really do hope they keep up with that. As for the previews for next season, I do notice an online celebrity in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be interesting to see how she plays.
she
That would be Mari from Smosh Games.
a Smosh? You mean like the YouTubers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't know who she is, but I know Smosh. So okay, there's
Yeah, she's the one that plays Minecraft on
because
Smosh.
if it was a guy, then she would have. Then we would have another PMC, which that's my abbreviation for Pro Man Crush.
Oh.
PMCs. I don't know if he had any this season. Probably Ty.
Probably.
So,
Probably.
But then who doesn't do Man Crush and Ty?
yeah, I think
So I'm
everybody.
gonna have my eyes on Mari throughout the season and see how she plays because, video gamers, they tend to do well on these reality shows.
Well, Kenny was really bitter towards the end.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't like Kenny. I didn't really like him in the game in Gabon. I don't really like him now. I'm a big fan of I always slaughter her name, PG, and
PG?
yeah, and I followed her on Twitch for a while, and she had Kenny on as a moderator for a couple times, and he was way bitter. He would ban people who would talk to him about what was the name of that girl that he was crushing on Gabon.
Sugar.
Well, Sugar also, but there was another girl I think on there. The one
Lucy?
that yeah, and he would get mad. He would ban them, and he would tell them to f off and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh man, this guy, really don't like this guy. But my final words for Kaoh Rong, like I said before, great season.
Kenny sucks. Right here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but final words on Kaoh Rong. Great season, great characters. Just pretty much like what Mark said. Great characters, great arcs. Maybe not all in the right places where we wanted them. not the worst winner. Maybe she might become up better ranked in the winners later on after a rewatch after a couple of seasons, and let's just hope we don't get to see this twist again. And I'm asking for Survivor, please stop with the gimmicks of the seasons. It's fine to have a theme of the season. This next one, I'm not really a big fan of. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like the season. I'm just not. I don't like the name of the actual the title of the season. And we've already seen this kind of in Nicaragua, and I don't like it. Jeff doesn't like it. A lot of people. I don't think a lot of people hold that season in high regard. So we'll see.
It's underrated.
Yeah.
It has its moments.
It has some moments, but not
Great
not.
winner, and character-wise, great
It's,
winner.
it always sat wrong with me for some reason. I don't know. But with that, we'll go ahead and leave the Spice Shot podcast for the Kaoh Rong season. We're thinking we might do something on the off season with topics and stuff about Survivor, but we'll see what comes from that. You can find their Twitter handles and their information there under their pictures on the screen, and you can find me on the various social media sites at Perspective, as well as on nerdfeed.com, where you can find all our videos and all the Let's Chat team. Once again, thank you guys for joining us for Survivor Kaoh Rong. We'll see you guys next season. Millennials versus, or is it Generation X versus Millennials? Yay.
Yeah.